everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Haley. It may not seem like it from my outfit, but it is officially fall. Today is September 10th when I'm filming this. After Labor Day, I think most of us can agree, we're just in fall mode. Fall. I'm excited. And one of the things I get most excited about in terms of fall is fall makeup. Of course, you can wear whatever makeup anytime you want, but it seems like definitely in summer there's more of a glowier vibe, tinted moisturizer, and then when we get into fall and winter, it's more like back to the medium full coverage actual like foundations, which is my jam. I figured today that I would share with you guys what my favorite foundations are. I love foundation. I figured I would also let you know what primers I tend to pair with each of these foundations, the brushes that I use, just since we're getting into this like little bit more of a fuller coverage vibe. I'm just really excited. So let's get into it. Let's start with a primer that I tend to use with most foundations. This is the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer, and I'm actually running out of this. I tend to pair this with most foundations. Like I said, I have bigger pores just right in my T-zone, and so this does a really good job of filling them in, smoothing everything out. I kind of bring it also under the eyes a little bit. I am a really big fan of this product. And like I said, I use it with most foundations. Let's start with the foundation that I'm actually wearing today, which is actually a great one in terms of like transitioning from summer to fall because it is technically a CC cream. So this is the IT Cosmetics CC cream. It's a pretty famous product. I think most of us have tried it. This one's in the shade Fair Light, and it's a pretty darn good shade match for me. What I like about this one is that it has really good SPF in it. It has SPF 50 in it, which is really good, pretty high coverage as well, but it's still pretty lightweight feeling. As you could tell, it's pretty moussey, which I really like. I think it really helps to smooth everything over. So it's kind of good for times like now. Obviously, I live in Hawaii, so that's why hence the tank top and everything. Like it's 80 degrees outside right now and it won't get much lower than that throughout the rest of the year. Pretty much what I wear all year round, unless it's like early in the morning or in the evening or it's a rainy day. This is a really good one, has really good coverage, medium to full for sure. Like you could definitely build this one up, but it's very lightweight, has a moussey texture, and has that really good SPF. So if you're in that transition time where it's still hot out, the sun's still out, you know, you have a really good high level of SPF to help protect you. And if you actually have oilier skin, I also really love their matte version. So this is their matte version. It's in the blue packaging. I actually have a darker shade in this one, which would be like when I'm more tan, which never really happened this summer. It was such a busy summer. I actually was not in the sun all that much. This one is a little bit darker, but honestly, same kind of texture, same lightweight. If you have oilier skin, this is great because it has a matte finish, and so if you're going to be wearing it all day and your oils come through, it just ends up looking like you have a really natural finish. Super pretty. I love both of these, but I would say I've actually been preferring the original lately. I don't know what it is. I thought it was pretty in the summer, a little bit glowier. So this next one, sorry, a lot of these need to be cleaned. We all know how it is. If you are able to keep your makeup and your brushes and everything clean all the time, you get so much respect from me because I don't do a great job at it. The next one is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting Foundation. This one also has SPF of 30. It's an oil-free foundation. This one is beautiful. I have the shade Porcelain 140. I would say this one is a little bit too light for me right now. I mean, I can make it work with bronzer and everything, but I definitely need a little bit of a darker shade, but that's okay. I'll use this one up and then I've learned my lesson and I need to get something a little darker next time, but that's okay. This one is beautiful because this is full coverage. You can get this one to full coverage, but it's very glowy. You just get this beautiful radiant finish with this one. Plus it's full coverage. If you have a lot of texture, this one's actually beautiful. It smooths everything out. Like I said, it's full coverage, it's glowy. But with this one, I do think even if you have oilier skin, I mean, if it's really oily, you might not like this one, but if you use powder, like if I pair this one with the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, it's a beautiful combination and it doesn't get too oily. I would say I have like combination leaning more towards the oily side skin, and I still really, really like this if I pair it with a good powder. And if you have those bigger pores as well, I actually have a great product you can pair with it underneath. So you can use this as a primer. It's the number 7 Airbrush Away Tinted Skin Perfector in the shade Light. Now you are going to be shocked when I show you the swatch of this. It looks really dark, but you can actually smooth it out. But what it does do is super, super smooth out your skin. This is great for, I like to use it with foundations that are not super matte. So something like this would be great because it just smooths out your pore area, fills in those pores, and then you can go in with this glowier product. The balance of the matte and the glowy is really nice. Now for applying this one, I love using a brush like this. This is the Sigma F60 foundation brush. And I know you might think it's weird, like, wow, this looks exactly like a paintbrush. But this formula is so liquidy that for actually spreading this on your face, it is perfect. Like you spread it out all on your face. And then I like to use a Real Techniques sponge. You can use whatever sponge you like, and then going over it with that, it creates the most beautiful finish. I've actually found that this brush actually works with a lot of different foundations, but definitely something a little bit more liquidy like this Shiseido product. It's like a perfect pairing. Okay, now I want to talk about a more matte foundation. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup. This is a pretty famous product. It's very matte, but it has really, really good coverage. I think like everyone, I really wish it had a pump. I use the shade 1 and 2 Ecru. It is very thick. It is very full coverage. This is one I'm considering for my wedding. It's between 2, and I'm gonna show you what the other one is too. If you have a lot to cover, when I was at like the height of my cystic acne, like really, really bad cystic acne, I used this on the daily, and a lot of people, like when I would tell them I was on Accutane, they were like, oh, I didn't even notice you had acne. And it's because this is the foundation I use daily, and it is so full coverage, but it is also very matte. So what I would recommend using underneath it is something glowier. First of all, you want to make sure you have a really hydrated base. What I have really been enjoying, I think I'm going to buy the full size of this, is the Shiseido Essential Energy Hydrating Day Cream, Hyaluronic Acid Red Broad Spectrum SPF 20. This is really, really moisturizing, but even with the SPF, it hasn't been breaking me out, and it's a really good base for a foundation like that, which is so matte, because at least you're adding a lot of moisture in to begin with. And then I would take something like this is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is in the shade 2, and I would put this either all over or on the high points of your face, whatever you'd prefer. It'll make your skin very glowy underneath, and then using that super matte foundation won't seem as matte in person. It'll look a little bit more natural with the glow coming through. Of course, this is a very famous product. There are a couple different dupes for it out right now, one of them being the e.l.f. Halo Glow. At least that's what everyone says. I haven't tried that one yet because I still have this, and I feel like I don't need 2 products like this right now. I think maybe when I run out of this, I'll purchase the Halo Glow, but I do think for my wedding, I'm going to be using this on the high points of the face. This is a really, really pretty product. So under something like this would be really beautiful. So the next one I want to talk about has been a favorite of mine all summer. I still wore foundations. I wore a lot of like this It Cosmetics CC cream, but when I wore foundation, it was usually this one. This is the Lancome Teint Idol Ultra Wear. This one I have in the shade 210 Buff. It's a little bit too dark for me. Actually, when it goes on, it's perfect, but this one oxidizes really bad. So I need a little bit of a lighter shade in this one. Like, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell that it oxidizes. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can really tell, but when it's on for a little while, it just starts to get a little bit darker. But I can make it work. And this one is beautiful. I like it because it's matte, but it's more of a satin matte finish. And it has SPF 15, so there's a little bit of protectant in there for you with the sun. And this is up to 24-hour color wear and comfort transfer resistant. This is pretty good at being transfer resistant. I've never worn it for 24 hours, but let me tell you something. I've been having a little bit of a difficult time at work. It's been stressful, and the other day I literally cried every moment that I was not with another person, when I wasn't with students. Like every moment I was alone, I was crying. I was just having such a bad day. I was wearing this foundation. You guys, at the end of the day, it looked perfect. I am not exaggerating. I could not believe it. I kept looking in the mirror after I had my little crying session, and I was like, I don't need to touch it up. There weren't streaks running down my face or anything like that. It just looked perfect. So if you are a crier, I really love this one. I would totally consider this one for my wedding, except for the fact that it has the SPF in it. So if you have like special event makeup where you're not getting photographed, I think this would be great. But if you are getting photographed, I would just do some test shots with this one. I don't totally trust it, and that's why I am gonna go with either the Estee Lauder Double Wear or the next foundation that I'm gonna talk about. But this one really is beautiful. If you need something that's gonna last all day, and this seems pretty darn waterproof as well, I would go with this one. And an everyday primer that I really, really love, pretty much no matter what foundation I'm using, I love the Smashbox Primerizer Plus Hydrating Primer. This one is beautiful. It's just like almost a moisturizer, but it's tacky enough where the foundation will still grip to it. And it works under, like I said, every foundation I've ever used. This is an everyday one for me. So my everyday combination is the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer in just the T-zone, this sort of area. And then this on the sides of my face, like basically everywhere else. And then I apply whatever foundation that I want to use. And then I'll add in some of these other products I talked about, depending on which product it is. If I was using the Shiseido, instead of using the matte poreless putty primer, I would use like that Airbrush away, just because it's more matte and it's more pore filling paired with a glowier foundation, if that makes sense. And then a brush that I love for freaking everything, you guys. This was in my favorites this past month. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. This is amazing for spreading foundation. These two together are awesome, but this one works really well for spreading foundation super quickly. And then I love going over it with a sponge. And the finish is beautiful. It's exactly what I did today. Today I used this brush with the CC cream and then smoothed it over with the sponge. And I love how my base looks today. I think it looks beautiful. So that brush is great for everything. Like I was saying in my favorites video, you can also use it for like cream bronzer. It works for a lot of different things. So highly recommend that brush. And it's from e.l.f., so it's not very expensive. My absolute favorite foundation of all time is this last one. That's why I saved it for last. And it is the Dior Airflash Spray Foundation. And it's water resistant up to 12-hour wear. This can last longer than 12 hours for sure. I've definitely worn it for lots of special events. It is definitely water resistant. It's another one like this one where I've cried before and it doesn't ruin all your makeup. I finally found my correct shade. It's 1N. I used 2N for a while and it was not right. It's beautiful. It says that it's a natural foundation. I would agree with that. To me, it's always looked a little bit more satin because I love setting powder, especially that Laura Mercier one. And when you pair the two together, I would say that it's more of a satin matte finish than a natural finish, which is what I prefer. Satin matte, I'd say, is my favorite finish for foundation. And of course, you can change the finish if you use, which is probably what I will do for the wedding if this is the one I use. Of course, you can use the Charlotte Tilbury paired with this, and it'll be a much glowier, natural looking base, even with that Laura Mercier powder. So this is the one I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna wear. Now, the brush I use with this one, I actually recently got from Sephora in the last month. It's the Sephora 7D brush, and it is this very dense brush, but it really does create a flawless finish. But just know that a brush like this takes time because you really have to be very intentional. You have to take your time with blending it all over your face, but the finish is gorgeous. And then definitely go over it with a sponge just to smooth out the parts you may have missed. And the finish is absolutely incredible. It's gorgeous with the right setting spray paired over top. I mean, it's just beautiful. I love, love, love this pairing here. The brush that's actually sold from Dior with this foundation is a brush that looks a lot like this. It's just shorter, but the density of the actual brush is the same. So if you want to save some money and not get that brush, I would get this one instead because it works really, really well. I know that the fact that it's an aerosol kind of spray intimidates a lot of people. Do not let it intimidate you. Find the way that this works best with you. I've used it in a lot of different ways. You could put it right onto a sponge. You're going to get a little bit lighter coverage, but maybe that's what you want. You could put this on your hand and then use a brush. It'll be a little bit higher coverage. You know, you just have to test it out. My favorite way though, I will say, if you want full coverage, is to actually spray it on your face. I can recommend that when I do that, and I don't know if I'll do this for the wedding day because I'm not sure if this will mess with the hair or not. We'll just have to see. I take a towel. Obviously, do not do this in a wedding dress. Obviously, you're not going to do your makeup in your wedding dress, but just in case you don't know, I wouldn't recommend. I take a towel, like a smaller towel, but one you can still drape over this entire area. And then I would take a headband. I don't really have one here that I can just grab right away, but you could put a headband like here. And if you spray a couple times, you spray it down and then spray it back up. That's pretty much the perfect amount that you need for full coverage. And then that headband will help you to not get it on your hairline. But even if you get it on your hairline, if you just take a little bit of a damp towel and you just put it, you know, brush it, it'll come right off. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not like it's going to stain your hair or anything like that. But if you want to just avoid that, you could try something different. And then I have gotten it on my clothes before doing that, so that's why I use the towel. I mean, the finish of it. I mean, if you do that and then you use this to just spread it all around, smooth out the finish, and then you use this, and then you use a gorgeous setting spray, you will have the most beautiful finish. I mean, when they say airbrushed, that's really how this one looks. That's why I think I'm gonna wear this one, but I'm still considering this one too. I'm making sure that I still have a lot of both just in case I decide I wanna use this one. They're very different products. This one is significantly more matte, but it is very, very long wearing. Here's the difference. I didn't mean for this to become like a wedding foundation video, but you know, might as well tell you, right? This one looks amazing in photography. However, as the day goes on, if your base is not hydrated enough, if you do not use glowy enough products underneath, by the end of the day, it can look cakey and it can almost start to look like it's cracking on your skin because it's so matte. Now, this one, on the other hand, because it's a natural finish foundation, I think looks beautiful in photography, but also looks beautiful in person. I'm not saying this one can't look beautiful in person, but you have to be really, really intentional about the products you're using underneath and over top. I'd say this one, you don't have to be as careful. You could probably just use your normal products underneath and over top, and this one will still look beautiful no matter what, both in photography and in person. You may need to put more of this product to build it up to full coverage, but you can get this one to full coverage. Trust me, I used to use this one as well when I had cystic acne, and this one covered really well. You just have to use more of it. So this one, you don't have to use as much. This one you have to use more. Very, very different foundations, but both beautiful for special events. Both look beautiful in photography. Just know this one you have to work with a little more to get it to look beautiful in person all day. But this one, I'd say you're pretty guaranteed to also look beautiful in person. So I think that's everything I wanted to share with you. This was a really fun video. I love, 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 love foundations. Love them. This is like a super fun topic for me. These products I love. I love, 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 love them. These are my favorite foundations. Foundation is very important to me, so I hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, I hope that you will subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, I hope you'll hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload new videos, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Love you guys. Bye.